blah, 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 blah. Trying to text the same time as filming. It's a great idea, Maddie. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Maddie if you're new here. I hope your day is going well. And today is Tuesday, so we're gonna do a tag because I do Tag Tuesdays on this channel. And today we are doing the meh book tag. This was created by the Bookish Babbler and Melissa herself tagged me in it. Yes, queen, thank you so much. I happen to love this tag. I think it is a fantastic concept. I've been thinking about a lot of books that I've had troubles with. I know that Thoughts on Tomes did a video kind of on like a 3-star read, like a meh books, and I've been thinking about how a lot of times I tend to dock a star if a book bores the shit out of me while I read it, but there's nothing else wrong with it. So I'm really excited for this tag. Let's just go ahead and jump right in before I kind of just ramble on a little too far, I guess. And the first question is, what is your meh star rating for a book? And this can actually really depend on the book. I typically think that a 3-star book can be a meh book, but sometimes a 3-star book can be one that I enjoyed, but I had a lot of problematic issues with it. Case in point, that would be Winter Spell by Claire Legrand. This book has a lot going on. This is a Nutcracker retelling that's very steampunky, but there's a lot of issues in this book. It is a very highly sexual teen book, and there's a lot of slut shaming and things that just go into this book that really didn't gel with me, but I enjoyed a lot of the world, and I did end up giving this book 3 stars despite the fact that there was a lot of content that I just didn't agree with. So at the same time, there are books that I've rated 2 stars because I've docked a whole other star because of just how disappointed I am in the book. And that book would probably be Revenge in the Wild by Michelle Bendesto. This book is a steampunky Wild West with cannibals and elves, and there's a lot of stuff going on in this book, and it was so overwhelming, and there was so many love interests, and we were focused pretty much solely on the love interests instead of the cool world that this book was in, and I just felt really disappointed. So I would say that this is a meh book despite the fact that I gave it 2 stars. And then the last book that I would consider a meh book is actually The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I ended up giving this 3 stars because it did really disappoint me, unfortunately. I know a lot of people really enjoyed this, but in all honesty, the world wasn't really that interesting. The characters were really bland and or just plain cruel or kind of disinteresting, and I just was really, really hyped for this book, but I ended up being just meh about it. It was not memorable at all, and I unfortunately didn't get along with it. So that's kind of how my meh star rating works. In all honesty, I feel like my meh rating is more complex than my like I loved it, which is like 4 to 5 stars, or I hated it, which is like 1 to -2 stars, because I'm that bitch. I can't find it. And then question number 2 is a book series that started out kind of meh, but ended up being really good. And I'm actually gonna go with Jay Kristoff's Lotus War series. I do think that Jay Kristoff's first book in this series is not as strong as his other books in the following series and any of his work since then. This is his first debut novel, I'm pretty sure, and I definitely can see the difference in his writing styles. I think that this book kind of had a slower start. It was a little bit heavy on the romance for me, and the characters weren't as well defined as I wanted them to be, but then in the following books we got a lot more character growth and a lot of like a really interesting world that I absolutely loved. And I do think that this series is one that I say get through the first book, get through all of the mentions of the word lotus. Question number 3 is book series that started out good but ended up meh, and that goes to the Graceling series by Kristen Cashore. This book series is fantastic. It is set in a world where if you have a Grace, you have 2 different colored eyes and some sort of power. And in the first book we follow Katza, and I find that this book was my all-time favorite of the series. This is followed by Fire as well as Bitter Blue, and both of those books have different main characters and take place at different times in the same world. I do find that this book series just didn't follow very well from Graceling. Graceling does a really good job of introducing the world, a really good job of introducing the characters, but I find that in Fire, I liked it, it wasn't as great, and in Bitter Blue, it was just a waste of my time. I felt like it was definitely a meh ending to a really good book series that I felt like could have been followed much better. I don't think the fact that it follows different characters was the reason why I didn't like it, but I do think that this book held a higher standard for me than it was followed by like kind of mediocre books. Question number 4 is an overhyped author that you just think is meh. Now I'm pretty sure half of BookTube might kill me for this, but we're gonna not tell him, okay? I kind of think Pierce Brown is overrated. Let's not tell him, okay? Because he's so cute. Brown asks, I love his books, but like... Question number 5 is a book series that you love but other people think is meh. For me, that's actually the Winter's Curse series. I feel like when this was initially coming out and like the last book had come out, it had a lot of heyday, a lot of people were talking about it, but now I feel like people have forgotten about it and or are kind of coming to terms with the fact that they didn't like it, and I still look back on this series with a lot of love. I really love Kestrel, I really love the world, I think that it's an interesting fantasy world that doesn't have magic. I really like the war society that Kestrel is descended from. I really like the fact that there's kind of an interesting imbalance of power in the world that she lives in, and I just find that it was a really fun read, and I do really like this series, even though a lot of people kind of don't. Question number 6 is a book so meh that you forgot the plot, and that can happen to a lot of books because I tend to be a little bit of a goldfish when it comes to book synopsises, but this book, Karvall by Stephanie Garber, definitely was a little forgettable. I enjoyed this, whereas a lot of people did not like it. It is kind of like a Night Circus YA book where Tella is invited to this magical game called Karvall. When she gets there, her sister is kidnapped, so she has to go find her sister, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that's very eerily similar to the Night Circus, but I read The Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye, and I'd already been thoroughly disappointed by that book, so this book I went in with a grain of salt, and I ended up enjoying it much better than if I had gone in way too hyped for it. But I do think that this book, I couldn't tell you what happened in the middle of the book. I just know that I'm a little excited for the sequel because it's going to be about the main character's sister rather than the main character in this book, and I'm okay with that because I like the sister better. Question number 7 is a meh character that could be easily replaced. Ashlyn. This might be a little bit spoilery, but I consider Ashlyn to be extremely replaceable. I can't say anything else because it's very, very spoilery. Put Louise there and you can't even see her. Well, okay, that sucks. Question number 8 is an amazing book with a meh cover. It wouldn't be Tag Tuesday if I didn't forget a book. And I'm gonna go with the US cover version of Strange the Dreamer. I do like this cover, but I really like the UK cover, so I'm just being picky, basically. And yeah, I have the arc of Strange the Dreamer, but I want the UK cover because it's better, personally. Yeah. Alright guys, that wraps up my meh book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Bye!